Good morning, everybody. This is Tyler's Talking Sports. If this is your first time tuning in, we're so glad to have you here. My name is Tyler Hess. On the other side of the mic, my brother from another mother, Tyler Castle. You'll meet him in a few minutes, and I think you'll like him. If this is your first time tuning in, you got to know what you're listening to. Here at Tyler's Talking Sports, we cover college football, we cover college basketball, we cover college baseball. You name it in the college world, we're talking about it. From breaking news to big games to new coaching hires to kids entering the transfer portal, we cover it all. So, if you love what you're listening to and you love this episode, be sure to find us on all major podcasting platforms. Find us on social media. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. Be sure to give us a follow and a like there. We're also on YouTube and TikTok, but on YouTube, be sure to give us a subscribe, because when you do, that allows you to get exclusive content that nobody else gets that's not subscribed to us. When you subscribe to us on YouTube, you get exclusive access to our 10-minute episodes that we drop weekly throughout the week. Plus, our 2 episodes we drop every Monday and Thursday at 6 a.m. You're not going to want to miss any of the content we have, and we appreciate you guys being here, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
This episode is brought to you by Next Level Fitness Club in Lebanon, Virginia. 1806 East Main Street, Lebanon, Virginia, 24266. They are a 24/7 gym facility, 24/7 tanning. They also offer certified personal training and certified functional fitness classes to fit all needs. If you're in the market for a gym membership, this is a great place to hit up. Hit up Ethan, Tyler, or Jordan at any of their numbers, and check out their website at www.nextlevelfitnessclub276.com.
This episode is brought to you by Little's Lawn Care. Little's Lawn Care is the all-you-need lawn care people. You need your yard mowed, you need your leaves blowed out of your yard, you need your gutters cleaned out, contact Little's Lawn Care at 276-698-5104. Again, that number is 276-698-5104. You can text them and you can call him. His name is Brandon Little. He's an incredible person, and be sure you let him know that Tyler sent you.
And we're live, Season 2, Episode 38, National Championship Preview. Happy Monday morning. Hopefully everyone has had a wonderful weekend. If it's your first time tuning in to Tyler's Talking Sports, on the other side of the mic, my brother from another mother, Tyler Hess, and myself, Tyler Castle, bringing you Tyler's Talking Sports. And boy, do we have a good one for y'all. We're coming up on the last college football game of this year. Tonight, it will be played. We finally have a national championship. We'll get into that. But before we get into that, man, we had some crazy basketball games to go over for you all. Might even have a fan of the week join us for a little bit in this episode. So y'all make sure you stay tuned for that. Hess, how was your weekend so far, man? I know we're just getting started off with this week, but how was your weekend? How was the end of last week? How'd everything go?
Was really happy to have the work week over with on Friday. It was a
weren't we all?
Week. Yeah. Saturday, very productive. Me and the wife did a deep clean, shampooed all the rugs, and deep cleaned the floors and walls and baseboards and couches.
Did you get out the Stanley cleaner?
Oh, yeah, not the Stanley. Got out the Shark shampooer and the Shark vacuum, and then the Bissell Crossway.
Deep cleaning.
Oh yeah, deep cleaning. Too much virus is going around trying to clean up.
There is a lot. Yeah, a lot of sickness going around right now, guys. Make sure y'all wash up Germ-X. No free shout out.
Then I went out and finally fixed my mailbox that my neighbor backed over back in the summer when he backed over it and threw it in my yard. He didn't want to tell me.
Thanks, Johnny.
And then, funny fact, that's his name.
I know.
Not really. But anyway, what was great is his son, as I'm going out to pick it up, comes down the road with his grandmother and says, "Hey, Dad wasn't going to tell you he backed over it, but I wanted to let you know Dad backed over your mailbox." And I was like, "Well, thank you. I appreciate somebody being honest."
Honesty. Nice. Goes a long way.
But it really tore it up. The front flap was flapping in the wind. It spun all the time, so you always had to so I finally fixed that. Got it so I don't have to
know all about them flaps. Let me tell you, I fixed a flapper on my toilet last week. Yeah. Completely disintegrated.
Yeah.
And I was, losing some water, and my water bill was going up a little bit, and I was really confused, thought I had a water leak. Then one day, I was walking through my house, and of course, we live on a 3-story, so I heard my upstairs toilet, which we never go up there really, flush on its own.
Bad.
Yeah, unless it's a real bad one. Go up there, heard it flush on its own. So I was like, oh man, what's going on? Took the cover off, boom, disintegrated flapper. Make sure y'all check your flappers out.
Then
on your toilet.
I got prepared for this deep freeze we're getting ready to go into starting tonight or Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Into all this. So got ready for that, prepared everything. And then waited for the snow to come. So
Yeah, we got a little bit of snow. More than likely, school's closed.
I definitely 2 hour delay.
Definitely 2 hour delay. We'll see what happens there. Today is Martin Luther King Day as well.
Yep.
So if you're going to the bank or any federal offices, they will be closed today.
Yep.
So just going to let y'all know that too. One other cool fact: we're still 7 followers off 1.3. We was close, guys. We hit I think 4, then we lost 3. It just keeps happening. We get really close to that 1.3, and I think Facebook's scared of us hitting 1.3. Something's going crazy is going to happen at 1.3.
Yep.
But other than that, I mean, I know we dropped a couple on Facebook. Guys, we picked them up on YouTube. We're up to over 50 subscribers on YouTube. We hit 52. Yep. We gained 3 in one night. Crazy night for TTS here. So shout out to y'all. Keep crushing that. Our 10-minute short videos, if y'all haven't tuned into those yet, make sure you check those out. We're doing pretty well with those. We'll try to punch out maybe another one this week, get some more content on that. If there's a topic or anything that y'all want us to talk about on that, let us know, please. We love doing those 10-minute segments. They're great. We dive in 100% all on that one segment, give or takes. And then, of course, we get y'all's feedback. But, yeah, let us know, guys. Make sure y'all tune into that. We got that going on as well.
Yep. And even though TikTok's down for now, we still have stuff ready to launch on TikTok if it comes back up. So hang with us. We might be back on TikTok. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, still on all those socials, guys. If you're not following us on everything, be sure you hit us with a follow, hit us with a like, hit us with a subscribe. Also, another thing, Spotify, guys, on there, you can comment on each episode. I can also post polls on there you guys can vote for on Spotify, so be sure you utilize those. If there's something you're listening to the episode on Spotify and there's something you want to say to us, put a comment in there. We'll get the notification. I check those daily to see if anybody said anything, so I have something to kind of talk about or maybe reply back to. So be sure you comment on all that, guys, and keep listening to it.
Spotify's been crushing it, too.
Yeah, Spotify's been great.
Been doing great. So
just keep it up, guys. We appreciate everything.
Y'all are awesome. Basketball recap from the weekend. You ready to dive into today's episode?
I guess so.
You know what it's time for? No, I got to hit that media button, baby. On Saturday. This past Saturday had some crazy big games, some crazy upsets we're getting ready to cover. The first one here I listed, obviously I listed because it's your team. We had number 1 Auburn holds off number 23 Georgia 70-68. This game was an absolute thriller.
Yes, absolutely. It was a great game.
Auburn improves to 17-1. They're still without. It's not Johnny. It's I can't get it out. I can't remember how to say it. It's not Johnny though. It's not Johnny Broom. It's like Joni.
It's like Joni, but it's not
Jahoni.
Jahoni.
Something like maybe it's that. Today, Junior. I can't pronounce his name, but his last name's Broom. And let me tell you, Auburn's still out there sweeping. They've been sweeping everybody still.
While we're talking about name pronunciations, I did have like 5 Duke fans reach out to me this week and pronounce it is Knipple.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is not just nipple. The K's right there. It's Knipple. Just Duke fans wanted to let us know.
Yeah.
It is Knipple.
Yeah.
They also wanted to let us know they're the best team in the country and nobody's going to beat them this year. So.
We'll see about that in just a second. Georgia, now 14-4.
Yeah, boy.
How you feel about that? How you feel about Georgia being 14-4 this point in the season? Is this the best record Georgia has been in 18 games?
Best record they've had in 18 games in a long time. But, I mean, last year they did start out 12-3, so I can't remember if they improved that. I know they struggled when they got an SEC play. But, I mean, I said at the beginning of the year Georgia was going to be a team to watch out for in the SEC. Mike White doing big things. That NIT run they had last year, he made it to the NIT finals, bringing the recruits he brought in with Asul Newell and just that. And bringing back Demery and then Kane and some of the other players. I mean, I knew this team was going to be good. I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on them. They're still a piece away. I mean, they're still a little bit of depth kind of hurts them a little bit. They're real heavy with the starting 5, and then once you get back to about the 8th person on that bench, it gets a little weak. But, I mean, honestly, if you're a Georgia basketball fan, you got to be excited and ecstatic for where this program where it's went from. I mean, the year they had Anthony Edwards, they won 9 games. Yeah. So, I mean, you really got to think about how far they came in such a short time. Mike White, they got rid of Tom Crane. When they fired him, they hired Mike White. I love the hire, and he's a
Mike White's from Florida, right? He was Florida's head coach?
I
think he came from Florida.
No?
You sure about that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm about positive he came from Florida. While Hess is looking that up, make no mistake, Georgia is on their way. I agree with that. I think depth. I think they're just not deep enough right now on the roster. They have a good starting five, I'll tell you that. And the biggest thing with Georgia is they need to control the pace. If they don't control the pace, I think that's where they struggle. They held Tennessee first half. They was up on Tennessee or tied. It was close. I remember it was really close. But then the second half, they just got blown out by Tennessee because Tennessee started controlling the pace. Same exact thing happened here with Georgia, but Georgia did make a late run there in the last minute and a half to bring it within 2 and had a chance to tie. Just missed the tip. So, yeah.
Back to Mike White. He played for Ole Miss in the 90s from 95 to 99. He didn't start his freshman year to the 8th game of his career, and he never missed a game from that point on. He started every game for the rest of his career. He's 6th all-time in Ole Miss history in assists with 370. But as far as coaching career, he started at Jacksonville State. Then he went to Ole Miss from 05 to 11. Then he went to Louisiana Tech. And then he did go to Florida. And then he went to Georgia.
Okay. So he was at Florida. I thought he was there at Florida just a short little stint.
He was at Florida from on May 15th or May 7th, 2015 to 2022.
Okay, longer than I thought. 7 years.
He made it to the Elite Eight 4 times.
I didn't think it was that long. I thought it was shorter than that. I
In
thought
the
it was
next
like 4
4
years.
seasons, he advanced. He never advanced out of the round of 32 from 18. He made the tournament 18, 19, 21, and 17.
Yeah. Good coach.
Entirety.
Great coach. Can't say anything bad. I think White has the team trending in the right direction. As you mentioned, Georgia was led by Newell, 6 for 13 on the field with 16 points. He did have a chance for that tip in. That was a great play call by White to get him they had 0.6 seconds on the clock, guys, and they were down 70-68, and he just missed the tip. He couldn't tip it in. So just a basket away from an overtime game. It was a great game. Auburn led by Tahad Pettiford with 24 on 7 for 13
Freshman.
shooting. Shoo!
Freshman. Him and Newell played together in AAU ball or travel ball. So
okay,
they were teammates. So he's a freshman. 2 freshmen really balled out in that game.
Yeah, sounds like it. I mean, it was a tight game. I watched pretty much the entire second half, and I was really. I hate to say this as a Tennessee fan, guys. Don't come after me, but I was cheering for Georgia in this one. I have to. I want
back to Mike White. He's been at Georgia 3 years. His first year they were 16-16, 6-12 in conference play. Last year they were 12-17, 6-12 in conference play, but they did make it to the NIT semifinals. And now this year they're 14-3 and 2.
Yeah, so definitely his best record
Mike White
since being at Georgia.
He's 7 wins away from 300. He's 293 and 64. As a career as a head coach.
That's pretty solid. It's not too shabby. Hess, let me ask you this. What's holding Georgia back from closing out these ranked games?
Depth.
Just depth. Depth in general.
The bench. I mean, the starting 5, I would put the starting 5 probably with most teams up there. I mean, they're a little weak on the forward side of things, but as far as guard play and then down low with the center and stuff, they're really well. That small forward position's a little weak, but as far as the starting 5, I mean, I would say they're probably top 6, top 7 in the SEC. But their bench is probably the part that's really weak. You look at teams like Tennessee, Kentucky, Auburn, they can just put these bench players in and
another 5, another set of fresh 5.
So, but I mean, you got to start somewhere, and they're building. I mean, look where they came from, look where they're at.
Absolutely, yeah. If I'm a Georgia, that's what I told you. When he's texting back and forth, I said, if you're a Georgia fan, there's nothing to be mad about.
No, not at all.
I mean, you gave Auburn, right? I mean, who in my opinion is probably still the best team in the country. Yeah. You gave them a run for their money. And I will say this: Georgia's basketball court, that thing is nice with the bulldog in the center and stuff. That is a nice court. They said that was the loudest that stadium had been in years. You could tell too. I love hearing these SEC schools be loud because we're so used to ACC schools like dominating that. So it's good finally to see these SEC schools selling out, making some noise in the crowd, playing a little bit of role. There's a team here in a second we'll get into that did play a big role in that as well. But yeah. Just to let y'all know on a fun fact about Georgia. I didn't know this until the announcers were talking about it. Georgia has only made one Final Four appearance, and that was in 1983. Georgia now, I think, is 0-20 against number 1 opponent in its entirety. So they have not beat a number 1 ranked opponent.
Never
almost did it.
Basketball school.
They have not. I mean, we know Georgia's football and baseball, but basketball's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Basketball's coming.
You talk about their court. They redid that this year. They renovated that stadium.
Put some money in it. Yeah, it's nice. That's a nice court. I was watching. I was like, "Shoo, that's nice." Yeah. Looked like a gray floor with a Yeah, Bulldog.
Speaking of courts, before we go on, my least favorite court in all of basketball has to be Vanderbilt. I hate the
Yeah.
way that thing looks.
Oh gosh, yeah. I'm glad you said that.
I hate it.
Yeah, they pushed it like 8. Well, it's probably farther. It's farther than that. It's like 16 foot away from the court.
I don't understand it. It makes no sense. To
Yeah,
me, I feel like
and they're below too, right, on the sides. Yeah, they're below the court. Yeah,
and
it's like a raised floor.
It looks even terrible. Like I know when they play these tournament games, they play them in these football stadiums. It don't look as bad, but there it's because they have that baseline so far out. But it just makes me think that Vandy didn't know that he was going to have a basketball program. It's like, oh crap, we got to build a basketball. Let's just put it in this random gym.
Well, they're redoing their football now too, so
yeah,
maybe they'll get the memo. Not to get off on topic, but another nice court, Oregon. Oregon's got a really nice court.
Oh, the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a nice
a couple
court.
Years ago.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. But yeah, Georgia. Coming along, guys. Keep an eye on Georgia. I don't think they're there yet. This isn't a team I would circle just yet. But I will say this: next 2 or 3 years, they're very young, but bright future in Georgia. Maybe can get some recruits too. I do think they will make the tourney. Don't get me wrong. I do think the SEC will break the record with 12 teams in the tourney this year. The record is 11 by the Big East.
Big East, yep.
Old Big East, yes.
Kemba Walker, Johnny Flynn,
yes.
Willie Hibbert, Big East.
Gosh, that was 09?
Probably 09, yeah. 09,
I think 09's when UConn won it with the Kimball hit the fade back or step back foul shot or whatever.
That's also the 6 overtime game with Syracuse and UConn in the Big East Championship.
Pretty sure it's
one of the greatest games ever.
Y'all can correct me. It's 08, 09, somewhere right in there.
Gary
I remember.
McNamara.
Remember back in grade school watching those bad boys. Johnny Flynn, shoot, what a letdown.
And
man, he was so good. Yes. Man.
McNamara's coaching now at Syracuse.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
Poor old Syracuse struggling right now. I'll cheer for Syracuse next year.
Yeah.
Number 2, Iowa State. Hess has been high on the Cyclones all year. Upset by West Virginia. West Virginia does it again.
Mm-hmm.
Country Roads, take me home. 64-57. Is West Virginia becoming the upset school now? I mean, they just upset a couple weeks back. I think they beat Kansas. Is that right?
I mean, it is West Virginia basketball, and you think of West Virginia basketball, you think of success. I mean, they're usually a top 25 team. Struggled out the gate this year, but I mean, they're solid, playing good basketball when it matters. I mean, they could be a sleeper team that people ain't really paying attention to. I do think right now they are setting good pace to be in the tournament. So they could be one of them teams that nobody really thinks about, and they make a run deep into this tournament. They got exceptional guard play, and they got a really good bench, and they're showing it in some of these big games like Kansas and now Iowa State. Yeah,
it's a solid team. What was their coach's name? Buddy something? I see his face. Yes, is he still coaching there? I know he picked up like Jordan McCabe a couple years back, and he was a really good point guard. He came in McClung's class out of West Virginia, but I can't remember if he's still coaching there or not. I think they moved on from him, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. I did not see this. So Iowa State is now 15-2, and West Virginia improves to 13-4.
It's Darren DeVias.
Okay, they got a new coach now. They had to get rid of the previous coach. Yeah. Who was the previous coach? Can you look that up? I see his face right now.
You know who he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Cannot think of his name right off the bat.
Bob Huggins.
Bob Huggins, that's it. What'd I say, buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see he's a heck of a coach. Ever since he's left, I feel like West Virginia's kind of been on a downward trend. Obviously, they're coming back up, though, now that this new coach. How long's he been there?
This year. Bob Huggins.
Okay. Last year. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Because West Virginia was on the downfall. Like I said,
Bob Huggins finished number 2 all time in West Virginia basketball wins.
Yeah, I knew he's good. Iowa State was led by Curtis Jones, who had 18 on 8 for 16 shooting. West Virginia led by Javon Small, 27 points on 9 for 16 shooting. Is West Virginia a team to keep an eye on, Hess?
Yeah.
That's it? Yep. Just keep an eye on them. That's it. They going to make the tourney?
Yes, they're a tournament team right now.
They're a tournament team right now.
Joe Lenardi's got them as a 7 or 8 seed.
Ooh, I like that. Take a lot. Yeah, West Virginia, I would circle West Virginia. If they can get going, I haven't looked at their schedule. I don't know who they play coming up. I know they got definitely some conference games coming up, so should be some ranked opponents again. I'm pretty sure, too, if I'm not mistaken, a couple weeks back, West Virginia did crack the top 25. I think they were 23rd.
Then they lost to somebody.
After they got the upset. Yes, I think they were like 23rd.
After they beat Kansas, they got ranked, and then they lost like 2.
That's right. That is correct. So West Virginia, right outside top 25, might be top 25. We'll see rankings tomorrow, so we'll let y'all know.
Yep.
But yeah, West Virginia, keep an eye on them. And now, as y'all can see if you're watching the video, we have our sports analyst on Duke basketball. TTS Fan of the Week, Jacob Compton, is in the house to talk about number 3 Duke demolishing Boston College 88-63. How's it going, Jacob? How's it going?
It's going good, man. Doing good. Watched some basketball yesterday. It was a great day for it.
Yes, it was.
It was pretty solid, wasn't it?
Great
We was just
day.
going over, we touched on Auburn, Georgia. That was a great game. Touched on Iowa State, West Virginia. Also, great game.
Also a great game.
Duke, Boston College. Not much of a game.
College. I'm not going to lie to you, man. For the first half, I was concerned.
Really?
Going into halftime, we were looking at a 6-point ball game.
Yeah.
Typical Duke, man. They always let them hang around. Second half team.
Yeah. For the most part, they've been pretty good this season, except for the 2 losses whenever they crumpled in the second half. You got to think, you flash back to Kansas, you flash back to Kentucky. They were up at halftime against both those teams and go and cough it up in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Duke basketball.
It's Duke basketball, man.
You never know what you're going to get.
But I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what I've been saying. You've heard me say this. This is the best Duke team since 2018 Zion.
I'd agree with that. Hess, what's your thoughts on that? You're really thinking there. I see Hess. Those wheels are turning in Hess's head. Let's hear Hess's take on that. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, since then, yeah, I agree with that. I was thinking a little bit deeper. Like I was going back far.
You can't go back to Kyle Singler and Shire days.
Misinterpreting what he said there.
JJ Redick days. You can't go to that.
You can't go back that far. Now,
if you went back that far, those teams, JJ Redick.
Were nasty. It was an entirely different environment in college basketball back then.
Yeah, they played different style defenses and everything.
Exactly.
Duke's now improves to a stellar 16-2 on the season, and Boston College drops to an even 9-9. Tell me about your boy Cooper Flagg, Jacob.
Dude, Coop, you were skeptical on Coop at the beginning
I was,
of the
and I actually had that in my notes.
He was very skeptical.
Very skeptical. I just wasn't seeing what I wanted to see from Cooper Flagg. And now that we're about midway through the season, I'm finally seeing what I want to see from Cooper Flagg. I can see why he is a top draft pick. I can see why he's a distributor. I just said in the last pod, if you listen or if listeners listen to that, that's hard to say. If everyone listened to me last pod, Cooper didn't even really have to shoot. He only had 13 points.
No.
And they found a way to dominate. Granted, it was Miami, and we saw what SMU did to him this past weekend. Absolutely destroyed him. But still, he didn't even have to show up. And they still won. That's a good sign.
That's the beauty of this Duke team. When you have a number 1 draft pick in the form of Cooper Flagg, who can show out and drop 42 in a game like he did, earlier against Pitt. He can show out last night, like he did against Boston College, who was hanging around and dropped 28. 9 for 14 from the field, shooting his free throws well, and that's what you got to have from a big guy like that. We talk about him at the beginning of the season, whenever he was, and you were skeptical. I was skeptical myself. The dude was 17 years old. He reclassified to this class. He should still be a high school senior at this point.
That's true.
And the fact that he's able to perform at the amount of talent that he has halfway through the season, dude's just going to keep getting better. And I don't want to be a team that plays Duke in the first 3 rounds of March Madness. You don't want to be that team.
So you think Duke right now? You're saying Duke right now is going to make it to the Elite Eight?
I'm comfortable saying Duke right now is easy to the Elite Eight.
Easy to the Elite Eight.
Duke's a Final Four team.
Final Four team.
Dude, I think Hess is right. Duke's the easy Final Four team. In my opinion, I'm a Duke fan. I'm biased. There's a real chance that Duke could sweep the table.
And my reason for that is they're the only team in the country that is ranked in the top 5 in both offensive and defensive efficiency.
Their defense has stepped up. I'll give them that. That's really what's winning the games.
They're top 5.
The distribution, the passing is elegant. It looks very good on the court, and their defense has stepped up. Shire, I think this is his best year of coaching since he's been there. Easily. But my question to both of you all on that, I know you just said Duke's going to go to the final, or you plan on Duke going to the Final Four. Just looking at him right now, I can't fully disagree with that since it's still kind of mid-season. But we know how Duke is.
We do.
Duke might get upset by that one team. We know how March Madness is. It's madness for a reason.
Exactly.
Is Duke really this good, or is the ACC really this bad?
there's two teams in the country right now that I know you're, I guess I could say both of us, really focus on the SEC, saying the SEC is the best in basketball. There's two teams right now that you could put them in the SEC, and they would be probably leading the SEC or at least in the top 5 in the SEC, and that's Iowa State and Duke. Those two teams in the SEC are top 3 teams. So I don't think it has nothing to do with the ACC or the Big 12, but as far as Duke, the ACC might be down. That team is elite.
Yeah, I agree with Hess on that. The ACC is definitely having a down year. It's not your typical basketball gauntlet conference that we're used to seeing. North Carolina's down, Miami's down, was a Final Four team last year. UVA is down. And those are 3 usual powerhouses in the ACC, and they really don't have much this year. So yeah, I agree that the ACC is down and it's making Duke look insane. But I still think, you put them in any conference in college basketball, and they're going to be the number 1 team. You got to remember, they beat Auburn. Auburn has 1 loss. They beat Auburn.
That's true.
Yeah, they coughed it up to Kentucky and they coughed it up to Kansas.
But they had those games too.
At some point in the last 2 minutes of that game, turnovers killed them in the early part of the season. They've been a lot cleaner. They haven't had as many turnovers. Their defensive efficiency has went through the roof. It's the best defensive team Duke's had in statistically. It's the best defensive team Duke has had since the 1950s.
Jeez. Yeah, I knew. I can tell it's stepped up. I've watched them.
That's what's great. And that's what's great about this Duke team is something that we haven't had in the past. Duke is always an offensive scoring machine, no matter what. They're going to put up high numbers against you.
Mm-hmm.
But their defense is what has struggled. So the fact that we have a high offensive efficiency team combined with just a juggernaut of a defense, I don't see a team in college basketball that can play with Duke. On Duke playing to their ability, there's not a team in college basketball that can play with them.
I'd agree with that. If they play like they have the past 2 games, if they continue that, I look for Duke to win the national championship. I'll just be honest. But they have to continue this. They cannot put the brakes on. They just got to keep the foot down on the pedal. But we know Duke. Duke is going to lose a couple more. Let's just be honest. It's going to happen. Duke's going to pull a Duke.
Duke's due. Duke
is puke. That's what you're supposed to say.
They're due. They're very due to make it back to a natty. They're due to get to this point. But to go back to what Jacob was saying, that you don't think there's a team, if Duke's playing to their full ability, that there's teams that could compete with them. I will argue that to an extent and not so much say that he's wrong. If you go offense for offense, I think if Kentucky plays to their full potential offensively, there's nobody problem. I think them and Duke are about even. If you go defensive side of it, I would say if Tennessee and Iowa State are playing their top tier defense.
If they're playing to the level they can.
But as far as all around, Duke's up there. But also Auburn. I mean, they did beat Auburn, but I mean, when Auburn gets Broom back, and I mean, they're still winning ball games.
Auburn's tough.
The thing with Auburn that I think puts them just a little bit below Duke is they have a bunch of scorers. Duke has that one guy they can go to, and he can drop 42 if it needs to, and that's Cooper Flagg. Like, he can step up. If he needs to drop 40-some, he can do it. If he needs to step back and drop 13, he can do it, and they can still win games. That's the big key with Duke.
Well, it's good to have that, but see, Duke doesn't just necessarily need Cooper Flagg to score. Proctor dropped 20 against Boston College.
But that's what
I'm saying. And Knipple went 0 for 5. He didn't even score.
That's what I'm saying, though. Yeah. You look at these teams when you get into March Madness, or you look, they're always just one player on a team that you know is going to be the one. If they need scoring,
right, it's going to take over the game. It's going to take over the game. That's why Tennessee was so good with Dalton Connect. He was the guy. Mm-hmm. They just take over. We don't have that this year, and we saw that. So that's very key to have. You got to have multiple scorers in today's game. When one guy goes out, it's next man mentality. You got to have somebody step up.
I go back and argue that with your Tennessee thing too. I mean, if Lanier doesn't go off and make 6 straight threes against Georgia at the beginning of that second half,
Zakai Ziegler is the key to that offense. I don't care what anybody says. He's the key. We'll get into that in just a second.
But I'm saying Lanier has that in him. He goes off for all those threes that he made in that Georgia game. He don't do that. He don't step up and do that. That game's a lot closer than what the score is.
Right, but he's not the only scorer. That's what I'm getting at. You have to have multiple scorers in today's game. You can't have one guy. We'll just double team him.
You do, but that's what I'm saying. With Auburn, they have a bunch of scorers. Tennessee, they have a bunch of scorers.
Yes.
Duke has Cooper Flagg.
On top of a bunch of scores. I got you.
Exactly. They can go to him and say, hey, we ain't doing it. He can drop it from the outside. He can go inside. I mean, he's so versatile. And that's the big X factor with him.
How do you guard Duke basketball? That's the question. Do you go
with zone? Guard, yeah.
who you can guard. You go zone, they have the best 3-point shooting team they've had since the early 2000s, whenever J.J. Redick and those guys were there. Best 3-point shooting team they've had. They'll shoot you out of a zone. Okay, you go man. You face guard Coop. You face guard Knipple. Then you have Sion James, who is absolutely tearing it up. He wasn't starting to begin of the season. Took Caleb Foster's starting position. Is absolutely just being a menace on the floor. You have Kumon Malawatch down low, who's over 7 feet tall. There's not many teams in college basketball who have somebody that can deal with that athletic ability that he has. That's why people are. I had a couple of people message me about the game last night. They're like, "Dude, what happened to Knipple? He went off against Miami. What happened to Knipple against Boston College? They face guarded him. Go back and watch that game. They picked him up at half court and they didn't help off on a man defense. What happens when you don't help off on man defense? Cooper Flagg's going to put up 30 on you."
Yeah. I look at Duke this way too. Like with Kentucky, I look at them offensively. I think they're very similar. And if you're going to beat Duke, like you said, you do the zone. You go inside, whether they're going to shoot the three on you. To Duke, you slow down that pace. You force them to make that three. You don't let them have nothing inside. You slow the pace down, force them to shoot. If they're going to make the three, they make the three, but slow it down to where they're not hitting three after three after three. But then on the defensive side of it, you got to score, because if they're hitting the three, you're going to have to go back down the court and score. And that's where Duke's going to be different. Like you look at the Georgia when they beat Kentucky, they slowed it down way down and they ended up beating Kentucky. Kentucky don't have the defense Duke has, so Georgia was able to execute the offense and still score points. Against Duke, that defense is so good. They're almost, you don't want to say the word unbeatable, but the way it looks, they are almost an unbeatable team, because either way you go, you got to face the other side of it.
The way I look at it, the only way you're going to beat Duke is if everybody goes cold.
They're going to have a bad game.
Yeah, just going to play bad and not make buckets, which happens. We see shooters do it all the time.
That's college basketball, man.
Yeah, it's college basketball. I mean, we see it happen NBA, high school, everything. So that's really, I mean, when luck doesn't go to their side, luck and talent, that is, I think that's when we see Duke lose. Question for both of you, and last question on this segment. I know Jacob's very, very important up there in Jersey. He's got classes, he's got stuff to do. He's a doctor, in case y'all didn't know, on his way to be a doctor. Very proud of him.
Thanks, buddy.
Anytime, man. I was waiting on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, anytime. Is Duke going to be the new number one in this week's rankings? Will they jump Auburn?
No.
Well, that was simple. All right, 2 no's. I agree. I don't think they will either. I think they'll be number 2. They'll jump Iowa State because Iowa State lost. Yeah. Auburn will remain number 1 because it is a tough win on the road in the SEC over Georgia. Even though it's close, I think Auburn's still your number 1.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. And you and I talked about this. That number 1 spot's a curse, man. It's a curse. If you go back and you look at the years in which Duke's been ranked number 1 during the season, or gotten that number 1 rank overall in March Madness, they crumble, man. They crumble.
The prime example there. Gonzaga basketball. How many times has Gonzaga been number 1 in the country, been the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, and not make it out of the
Look at Kentucky.
second round?
Absolutely.
Look at Kentucky.
Yeah.
John Calipari, first round loss. What, 2 years in a row? 3 years in a row?
2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. Kentucky's went out in the first round.
Yeah. Yep. You don't want to be that 1 seed.
Nope.
No.
Absolutely
you don't want it. It's a curse, man. That's why I'm happy with Duke sitting at 2. Yeah, I really expect them to be a 1 seed going into March Madness. It's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, they should be. They should be.
I'm not too
I'm not too worried about a 1 seed coming into the tourney, because we have seen 1 seeds win it. But I'm saying, 1 seed like ranks first going into the tourney. Yes, the true number 1 overall.
He gets to the weakest bracket, apparently.
Absolutely, same way in football too. Really.
I guess I'll propose this question: who's your guys right now? If March Madness started tomorrow, who are the 4 number 1 seeds?
Duke, Auburn, Kentucky, and I'm going to throw.
Kentucky.
I think Kentucky. I think Kentucky's going to crack the top 5 before we get to March. But I still think Kentucky's one of the best teams in college basketball. But Duke, Auburn, Kentucky, and I don't know. I'm going to say Tennessee. I think you're going to have 3 SEC schools.
I think it'd be Duke, Auburn, Florida, Tennessee.
No. Duke.
Quit your Iowa State bullcrap.
Iowa State. I'm not on Iowa State. I'm not on the Cyclones.
Iowa State.
I don't see it.
Iowa State and Duke, Auburn, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Marquette are automatic locks.
My God.
Are automatic locks
Marquette.
Automatic lock.
Golly.
Dude,
Marquette.
Do you not watch the Marquette game yesterday, Hess?
Yes.
Okay. But they're not it, man. They're
No.
good, but they're not it.
They're a tournament. I'm telling you, they're built for that tournament.
All right, guys. Marquette won't even make the tourney.
Okay, they're going to make the tournament.
They'll make the tourney. I'm just saying, when you speak it out loud, you know how it is, because we're getting ready to talk about Arizona. And I was very high on Arizona. They got whooped by Texas Tech.
Well, I mean, I just look at Marquette, that team. They're solid. They got a lot of experience. They're senior, junior loaded team. They do have one really good freshman. I can't remember.
They're not bad. They're top 15.
They have a coach that has that experience, that's been there, and done that. And I really just feel like Marquette is a team that another one, like, you're not going to see them coming. They're going to get probably a 4 or 5 seed in that tournament. And depending on which side of that bracket they're on, matchups, Elite Eight's very possible. But as far as my 4 right now, that was the question. Duke, Tennessee, Auburn, and Iowa State.
Duke, Tennessee, Auburn, and Iowa State.
I don't get the Iowa State glaze.
I don't get the Iowa State myself.
I don't get it. I've been watching them play. They're a good basketball team. They're going to be in the tournament. They're going to be a Sweet 16.
I say a 2 seed.
But they're not, they're not a Final Four team.
2 seed.
I'm just saying number 1 seed.
That's fine. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to it at March Madness.
I can't wait till Marquette is in the Elite Eight.
I hope you're right, but let's just be honest. Jacob and I both know you'll be wrong.
Yeah.
How about that?
I don't think Tennessee makes it past the second round.
Ouch.
Just if they draw Vandy.
Oh, we'll get into that in just a second. You jackwagon.
I'm just kidding, buddy.
Last time I checked, I think we beat Georgia by 18.
You did. Was it 18? I thought it was 20 something.
No, it was 18. I wanted it to be 20 because I remember on the pod, I first said 50 and you had to wear Tennessee stuff. And I was like, how about 20? And you almost thought about it.
But I said no.
But you said no.
I told you that. I told you. That game was either going to be really close or you always going to blow us out.
And I told you Tennessee's going to beat you by 20.
I kindly forgot Georgia even had a basketball team.
Hess told me on last week's episode, he was like, big game in Knoxville. I said, it's just another day.
It is, man.
Just another day, man. It's just Georgia.
Yeah.
It ain't football.
Who y'all got up next? Who's each of it?
I don't know who Tennessee plays next. It's probably another freaking tough game. I mean, if it's SEC.
Duke has Wake Forest on Saturday. Dickie V's coming back. He's been on a 2-year hiatus from announcing college basketball games. He's going to be announcing that game at Duke for his first game back, man. I'm so excited for him.
Oh, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Dickie V returns.
Yeah, it's going to be sick. Going to be sick, man.
It's a primetime performer.
So Duke don't play on next Saturday?
I don't think they play on Tuesday this week.
They get a little bit of a bye?
Hold on, let me check it. I
don't even know who Tennessee plays.
Yeah, they don't play until Saturday against Wake Forest. Yeah.
Tennessee's got Mississippi State at home.
And then we got Kentucky.
On Tuesday.
That's going to be a tough game for Tennessee on Tuesday.
I think, right? Good. Yeah, Mississippi State's tough.
Saturday, Tennessee's at Auburn.
At Auburn. Oh.
That's 2 tough games in a week.
Then we got Kentucky the following week. Yeah,
then,
welcome to the SEC.
You are right about Wake Forest. Oh, gosh, clicked the wrong date.
Yeah, they got Wake Forest on Saturday. Then the week after, we got NC State on Monday and UNC on Saturday.
UNC is not the same UNC.
Yeah, there's only 3 ACC games Tuesday, and that's Boston College, Virginia, Louisville, SMU, and North Carolina Wake.
SMU is a sleeper team.
SMU sucks, man.
They do not.
Do you not see what happened when Duke went down there?
What was the score in that one?
89
to 62.
17.
With them, man. SMU is one of the highest scoring offenses in the country.
Let me just say this: SMU will be good in the next couple years.
Hey, next year, right now they're setting number 5 in recruiting.
Yeah, they'll be good
next year.
They'll be good.
Well, here's what you got to look at.
They got money.
Here's the thing. That's the thing about college basketball and college sports in general. That's where you're seeing teams like Duke get a bowl game, a big bowl game. NIL is having a huge impact on this.
Yeah.
These wealthy schools, Vanderbilt, Duke, SMU, are able to pay players more than your public schools. And now they're getting top talent, and that's why you're seeing these teams start to be more competitive across the board.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I just do, before Jacob leaves, though, I think he agrees with this. I need college basketball to get rid of this whole one-and-done crap. Like, could you imagine another year of Cooper Flag? Could you imagine another year of some of these?
I think you should make it to where they have to stay till their junior year.
That's what it used to. I mean, it used to be.
Yeah, bring that back. That'd be nice. I'd love to see Cooper 2 more years.
It absolutely would be nice, but then you start to mess with these kids' lives, man. I mean, you
Yeah.
got Cooper Flag. He's going to be number one pick in the draft. We know that. All right?
But go back to it. Either allow them to either go straight at Cooper Flag, allow him to go straight to the NBA. Go ahead.
Yeah.
But if you commit to college, you're there 2 years.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Because then let's say we force Coop to stay. He comes out next, wins the Natty this year. Duke's think, oh man, we got the same team back. We're going to win back-to-back Natties.
Right.
Comes out game one against some Farley Dickinson or something like that. Blows an ACL, and there goes
Farley Dickinson.
Shoot,
great
Farley
guard.
Dickerson.
Yeah, great guard.
Great
Almost
team.
good as Daryl Dixon. Old Daryl.
But I mean, that was like yesterday during that Tennessee Vandy game. They were talking about the environment and how loud it was and everything. And it was like, They said 8 of these players on this Tennessee team have never played Vanderbilt.
Yep.
But they don't have hardly any freshmen on the team. So you're like, wow.
Transfers, baby.
It's killed the rivalries and stuff.
Yeah, we got to think this Duke team that we have this year. I don't know if y'all mentioned this before. It's an entirely new team. There are 2 people on this Duke team from last year's team. Everybody else is gone.
Talk about a rebuild. A complete new team is Miami.
Oh God, dude, that's terrible. Coach Larranaga left. He left for the same reason why Coach Bennett left UVA.
Yep.
It's killed both of them.
NIL. Yeah, UVA's bad too this year.
You look at both those teams. What happened to them, man? They both lost. Tony Bennett won national championship at UVA. Now UVA is not even in the talks to win ACC or even probably make the tournament. Right. Same thing with Miami. Final Four team last year with hopes to go back to the Final Four this year, maybe win a national championship. They don't even make the tournament either.
Probly worst team I've seen.
Neither one of them are going to make the NIT.
It's the worst Miami team I've ever seen.
Yeah. They're bad. Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
Well, Jacob, we appreciate you coming on TTS. Again, I know you're a busy man. We appreciate it. We'll bring you back on to talk about these Duke Blue Devils a little bit later in the season.
Absolutely.
We'll see if they make the Natty. We'll see if they lose first round. We'll get into that. But everybody, Jacob Compton.
Guys, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. Take care. We'll see you, buddy.
See ya.
All right, quiet down, guys. Quiet
down.
Big crowd. Quiet down, everybody. Whew. All right, back. We back. The crowd had to be quiet there for a second.
Yeah.
Back to basketball, number 5.
We never left it.
I know. I'm just saying back to it.
We never left it.
Hey, Hess.
I was just telling you that we never left the topic.
If you're always ready.
I was ready. You're the one that left it.
You never got to get ready.
I was over here dribbling.
Dribbling? Yeah, double dribbling. Probably walking. Can't dribble. I know you can't dribble with that left hand. Number 5, Florida. Holds off and dominates Texas. 84-60. In case y'all are wondering, since I just brought that up. If you're guarding Hess, if you're out playing pickup ball and Hess, force him to his left. Can't do it. Can't dribble with his left. He's right dominant. Make him go to his left. Florida now improves to 16-2 on the season, and Texas drops again to 12-6. Did you watch any of this game?
I did not. I didn't catch this one.
It's pretty good there for a little while. Then Florida just took off. Texas led. The reason I want this game on here, Trey Johnson. Keep that name in mind, guys. He's a freshman. He is a sharpshooter.
There's a reason we skipped the Kentucky-Alabama.
I'm coming back.
Oh, okay.
Come back to that. I just want to touch on this one real quick. Trey Johnson, keep an eye on this kid.
Yeah.
6 for 15 from the field, had 16 points. Florida led by Elijah Martin, who had 22 on 8 of 16 shooting.
As far as Trey Johnson goes, keep
good.
your eye on him over the next couple months because he's in the NBA next year. Think he's one and done.
Yeah, he's done. He's that good. I mean, he can go on. I think he's listed in the top. He's in the top 25 players right now for the draft, and rightfully so. Walter Clayton Jr., also another player. Just enjoy watching right now because he is also going to the draft. He is Florida's star point guard. Had 19 on 7 for 13 shooting. So again, multiple scores. When multiple shooters get hot, you usually find a way to win. Was this a good sign for the Gators after falling to Missouri?
Yeah, I mean,
solid win. Texas tough.
I look at them a lot like I look at Kentucky. They have an explosive offense, but you find a team that can slow them down and keep them out of their pace, it really hurts them. Florida, when that Kentucky game, when they played each other, they were both running 100 mile an hour, and they scored 100 points apiece. Neither one of them could play any kind of defense. So, and I go back to what I said about Florida last week and a couple of ones before. They're ranked 191st in defensive efficiency. We just got done talking about Duke. They're top 5 in both. Big difference there. If you have that high potent offense, but then you can also keep a team from scoring 60 or 70 a game, you're about unbeatable. And that's Florida's thing. Like if Florida can play a bunch of teams that run up and down the court, and they're gonna blow you out of the water. But they end up playing a team that slows it down and plays a good defense. That's when Florida gets out of rhythm. That's when Florida struggles. Florida's a great basketball team. They just got to figure out how to overcome some of this adversity and overcome some of these slower games and find out how to get the points on the board.
Speaking of slower paced games, number 4, Alabama. Bounce back win over number 8, Kentucky, 102-97. And guys, I was joking about slower pace. There's absolutely no defense in this game. It was a straight up shooting contest. Talk about a pace-based teams. These two teams as well are pace-based as well. I put these two teams in the same category with Florida.
Well, that's what worries me about the SEC because I've been trying to watch Big Ten basketball the other day I told you to tune into that Michigan-Minnesota game.
That was a great game. Great game.
I watched the ETSU-Sanford game yesterday,
Great game.
Ended up being a great game. Like, my worry is outside of probably Tennessee because they play really good defense and they can score, and maybe Auburn. The rest of these SEC schools are great on offense, but the defenses are really just struggling. So I worry if they play a team like an Oregon or a team like Purdue, or they play an Iowa State type team or somebody like that, the Kansas, that can really just dictate the pace and really play defense. That's where I see the SEC struggling. I don't think that's going to hurt them as far as you talking about getting 11, 12 teams in a tournament. I wouldn't be surprised by the time we get to the second round, you're looking at 2 or 3 SEC schools still alive.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I do think they will have the most bids of schools entered into the March Madness championship or tournament, rather. But I'm with you. I do think we'll see them trundle out very quickly. Yeah. Alabama improves to 15-3. Kentucky drops to 14-4. Kentucky's been extremely streaky this year. Why is Kentucky so streaky?
It goes back to just their defense. I mean, their defense, and they have to control pace, which they're getting better. They've been some other games, especially after that Georgia game. They kind of learned from that one where Georgia really just slowed it down, ran out the shot clock, really just handled each possession. That's the thing with them. They're just like Florida. If you slow it down and you keep them from running that track meet offense they like to run, they really struggle. And that's something they just got to figure out how to overcome. They got to get better on the defensive side of the ball as well.
This was a team that they're playing that they didn't slow down the pace. So I think Kentucky needs to figure out how to close out these games because they had this game and then Bama came back every time.
Just like the Florida game, they had the Florida game. It's just who can hit that extra when they get down to that last
2 minutes,
10th of a mile of the track meet that they're running. They don't have that. They're out of gas. If they could slow it down a little bit, play a little defense, work on that bench, get that bench more conditioned. But the thing is, if you're running, like I will say this, if it's Duke, Kentucky, Florida, and you're playing a team that has no defense, but they just shoot the ball, 9 times out of 10, those 3 teams are going to win.
Yeah.
But when they play a team that's going to slow them down,
it's going to be a tough game.
It's going to be a tough game for them.
I agree with that. Yeah, we've seen that in the Georgia-Tennessee game there for a while. I mean, that was a straight defensive game. Great game.
And then what happened as soon as Tennessee got the pace?
Finally started, picking up the pace a little bit. Pace is huge.
That's the problem with playing a slow pace of a team, playing a low tempo. When you play
that
low tempo,
if the tempo gets out of rhythm.
When it gets picked up, that not only affects the offense, it kills the defense.
That's all basketball is rhythm. So, Alabama was led by Grant Nelson, who had 25 on 7 for 13 shooting. Mark Sears, another player that y'all probably want to watch a little bit before he goes to the draft, dropped 24, but only 6 for 17 from the field. So struggled shooting. Took a lot of shots, but didn't make a lot. Kentucky led by Otega Owa, 8 for 14 shooting and dropped 21 points.
Monster. Had a monster dunk, too. He is a
freak. I saw that. Yeah, they're athlete. Straight athlete. Good teams here, guys. These 2 teams will make the tourney. I don't see any reason why they shouldn't. Kentucky's just one of those teams. And honestly, I'm not just picking on Kentucky. I think it's the whole SEC this year. When these ranked matches happen, you really don't have a good idea who's going to win or not.
And I mean, too, I look at Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky gets the right draw in this tournament. It could be a cakewalk to that Final Four.
Really could be.
they get a really tough draw. If Kentucky goes in as like a number 1 seed, but they're like the number 3 ranked team, and they get that mid-tier type where you're kind of playing the teams that have been number 1 or been number 2 all year or whatever, that's where I think you're going to see Kentucky struggle. Now, if Kentucky can win a bunch of games here and some people lose and they get that number 1 and they have that easy route, hypothetically easy route, they could cruise to the Final Four. But if they play playing some teams that really slow it down and play some good defense, Kentucky might not make it past the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think if they make it past the round of 32 this year, they'll be happy.
Yeah.
They can make it to the Sweet 16. I mean, I know it's Kentucky. They want to win a national championship every year in basketball. But I'm saying based off last 2 previous years.
Right.
So as long as they can make it, somewhat of a dent into the March Madness tourney, I think the fans will be pretty happy. Speaking of upsets, number 6, Tennessee, falls on the road to Vandy, 75-76. Ball slip up on defense. That's all. That's what I really saw. Fall to 16-2 on the season. Vandy improves to 15-3. One bright spot in this whole game, Lanier finally seems to have found his stroke again. He was ice cold for 3 games. Could not shoot. I think he was like 5 for 20 or something. It was way, way up there. He only had 10 points in 2 games. And he was SEC leading scorer. I think he's 3rd now, but he did drop 17 points. He was 5 for 11. So it looked a little bit more comfortable out there. Again, like I mentioned, the key to this offense is the Kai Ziegler, who had 16 and 10 assists. He's the distributor of offense. When he came out, that is when Vandy took a run. They went up by 7 there to close out the half because he got in foul trouble with 2 fouls. Can't have that. So when he came out, we saw a shift in the offense. Tennessee trailed pretty much this entire game. Up until the end, they went on an 11-1 run, I believe it was. Lanier had a chance to tie it. Was at the foul line, made the first one, missed the second one. So that's why they lost 75-76. Yeah. Did you watch any of that game?
I did. I watched a little bit of the first and a little bit of the second. I didn't watch much of the end. It was kind of busy. But biggest thing here is Vandy pretty much gave the notebook on how to beat Tennessee, and you take the shots they give you. Because the way they were running that defense, what I was seeing when Vandy had found, because there's always an open guy on the court. That's the cool thing about basketball. Somebody's always open. You just got to find them.
Yeah.
And when Vandy found that guy that was open in the defensive set that Tennessee was playing, they capitalized on that shot, and they made that shot, and that's the thing with Tennessee.
And let me tell you who that was. Yeah. Jason Edwards. 6 of 10 and 3 from 6 from 3. Finished the game with 18. I mean, he was electric.
Yep.
Sharpshooter, baby. Something I'd like to point out, I have a lot of Negavols that message me when the Vols lose. So I just want to touch with my fellow Vols fans here. The Vols were 15-4 with Dalton Connect at this time on the court last year, so chill. It's fine, guys. We're not going to win every game. It's college basketball. If you go undefeated, has there ever been a team go completely undefeated? I'm sure there has, but it's probably been a long time ago.
Gonzaga was the closest.
I mean, it's hard to do, guys.
I think UCLA did it.
Oh, yeah, back in the 90s or whatever, late 80s, early 90s, that team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they won, like 3 championships in a row? I say you're right. I bet it was UCLA Bruins.
7 undefeated basketball teams have won a national championship.
Wow, 7.
Indiana in 75-76. They went 32-0. UCLA did it 72-73, 71-72, 66-67, 63-64.
God!
So they went 30-0 from 63 to 70 and to 73.
Wow.
30-0.
So what was the last year somebody did it? 70s?
Looks like Indiana did it.
That was the last
76.
one. 50 years ago.
Hold on. UCLA is the only team to have multiple perfect seasons. 5 teams have finished regular season since 1976, being the most recent Wichita State in 2014, Kentucky in 2015, Gonzaga in 2021. 2 of those teams, the 91 UNLV and 2015 Kentucky, lost in the Final Four. The 1979 Indiana State team, led by Larry Bird, made it to the national championship before its first loss.
Nice. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, guys, just calm down. It's Vandy. It was a tough game. They actually had home field advantage for once, home court advantage, rather. In Vandy, they stormed the court after. I thought that was funny. But, yeah, it is what it is, man. Anytime you travel on the road, it is what it is.
I get that from Vandy's fans. I mean,
it's been a rough 2 years. I'll give them that.
It's been rough 2-3 years for them. And Tennessee came in. I mean, I follow a lot of the balls on Twitter and stuff, and they were predictions going out there like y'all were going to win 100-40.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I've seen all kinds of crazy
I
stuff.
told you I was worried about that one.
That's one thing I like about the Vols. They love to give these other teams ammunition. Look at what they did at Ohio State, all the stuff they did, what they were saying, crapped out Vandy. They love to give these teams this wallpaper material, and maybe the Vols fans just need to take what they have and just play the game.
Be quiet.
Yeah.
Be quiet. Be like me, man. I told Hess before this game, Hess like, oh, man, nothing to worry about. I said, yeah, I'm worried about Vandy. Look what happened. Other stories. Arizona falls to Texas Tech. I'm done predicting teams. I'm going to stop. I'm done with the Zona. They're out. They're out of my picks now. I had them as a sleeper. They're done. 70-54. They look terrible.
Yeah.
Texas Tech ain't bad, though.
Right.
Texas Tech might be that team. Marquette.
Yep.
Also upset by Xavier. 59-57. Old Shaka Smart.
What's Xavier's record now?
Probably pretty good. Xavier's usually tough.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about.
I don't know what they are now.
We'll find out right here.
He'll find out.
Schedule.
While Hess is looking that up, number 9, Kansas holds off Kansas State 84-74 with a bounce-back win for the Jayhawks. The Jayhawks were kind of falling off there. We kind of forgot about Kansas, but that's a big win for them. 10-point win. Get them back in the winning column, so we'll see them bounce up probably in rankings after all these upsets this week. Number 10, Houston hangs on to beat UCF 69-68. That was a close game all the way till the end. Was hoping UCF would pull off the upset, but Houston held on.
Yep, Xavier's 12-7.
Oh, okay, not as good as I thought this year. That's the thing with Marquette. They lost to Dayton. Dayton's not that good this year, and they lost to somebody else too. But it was actually a very tight game.
Marquette lost to
Iowa State. They lost to Iowa State.
81-70. They lost to Dayton 71-63, and now they've lost to Xavier.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dayton and Xavier, I don't get those two.
They got UConn. They got Butler. So actually, they got pretty easy from this point. They got Seton Hall, Villanova, Butler, who is now in the American Conference or the Big East. And then they got UConn, St. John's, and Creighton.
Ooh, Creighton.
Yeah.
Speaking of Creighton, UConn falls to Creighton 68-63. Creighton's always tough team.
Yeah.
Good really 3-point shoot. Yeah, they beat UConn. UConn, I don't understand UConn this year.
UConn is they just can't figure it out. I think they came into this season really expecting big things, and it kind of got to their head a little bit.
I think so. Which they should be. They should make the tourney. They have the depth. They have the talent. But they're not really showcasing it right now.
A team I know you don't got them on here, but since we're kind of talking about Marquette and Xavier, St. John's is a 2-loss school this year. And Rick Pitino, if you don't know who Rick Pitino is,
he's Coach Louisville.
He is the St. John's head coach.
Yeah.
And that could be a team that makes a run that nobody really talks about. Because they're unranked right now. That would be a team I'd say watch out for St. John's. The Red Storm.
Red Storm. Storms are coming. Storms are brewing.
Yeah,
Purdue, number 17, Purdue beats ranked 13 Oregon 65-58. So Hess is high on the Purdue Boilermakers on the train. So we'll see what they do. Hopefully they don't make the tourney. Mississippi State, number 15, holds off.
Before you go on.
Yeah.
How many teams make the tournament?
64?
68.
68, sorry.
And then they have 64 in the main tournament. You have 4 the play-in game, which is 4 teams. So Purdue's at 17 right now.
Yeah. I know they'll make the tourney head. So it's just, you know why? Zach Edey. I don't like him.
That's one guy,
He beat my balls, man. I've since then became a Purdue hater.
Oh.
It hurt my feelings.
Okay.
How about that?
That's okay. It makes sense.
Had to make me get emotional on this stream.
I'm sorry.
Mississippi State holds off number 21 Ole Miss in overtime, 84-81. Ole Miss is legit. Mississippi State's legit.
Great defense.
Good teams here. I dread playing Mississippi State this week.
Back to what Jacob said, it's going to be – they're very similar to Georgia, but they got a little bit better bench.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game. Stanford holds off UNC 72-71. Didn't see that one. Stanford used to be pretty solid.
Stanford used to be a pretty good program
Yeah.
back when they had the Lopez brothers.
Mm-hmm. They used to be really good. I remember them being ranked all the time.
Yep.
Love to see them get back in the rankings. That'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
VT goes down to Wake 73-62. Just something again in Blacksburg. I don't know what's going on there. They're below 500. I think they're 8-10 now, maybe something like that. So
that's bad.
ETSU beat Samford 65-60 to end Samford's 28 home game winning streak.
Yep, that was the longest in the country.
That's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and ETSU, they improved to 11-7, 11-6 on the season.
Or 12-7, maybe. It's 11-7 or 12-7.
Yeah, it's a great game. Great game, both teams. Right now, Joe Lenardi has Samford in the tournament, but probably only one out of this, but probably got to win your conference championship to make it anyway. But
I'd love to see ETSU make a run, man.
This was a rematch from last year's conference championship game in the tournament. ETSU got revenge here. We'll see what happens. Boys in Johnson City are playing some good ball right now.
They are. It's a good, solid little team, guys. If
and
you
this
want to
was
watch
a
some good basketball local,
game.
Yeah. If you want to watch some good basketball local, go watch your ETSU Bucks.
Yeah, boy.
Man, let's switch over to the other ball.
We got a big game tonight.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently. Let's close out this episode going off on this big game. National Championship preview and predictions. Game is tonight at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. What?
Last football game we're going to talk about this year.
Mm. It's been a heck of a season. Heck of a season, man. TTS out.
Man.
TTS done. No, guys. We're going to keep up with recruiting, transfers. Make sure y'all tune in. If you're following us on Facebook, you'll see all those transfers.
If you are listening, guys, you're on your way to work this morning, Russell County schools are remote learning tomorrow. They will be out of school tomorrow.
Virtual day. Called it. Yeah. Big game today, then. Big game tonight.
Yeah, man. I hate this is the last one. I've had so much fun covering college football, man. This has been great.
It's been a great season.
Shout out to the guys in the playoff committee for seeding everybody and getting the 8 and 7 seed in the national championships. A good job evaluating talent and figuring out who's your top four teams in the country.
Who saw that coming? Did anybody see that coming? Anybody see a 7 or 8 seed sitting in here in the national championship?
Nobody had Ohio State. Not many people said Notre Dame. A lot of people had Penn State, but a lot of people had Oregon, Georgia, Texas.
Texas was a big one for a lot of people.
Yep. So good
I can see
job.
why as much money as they spent.
Hey, speaking of that, everybody bagged on Ohio State for the $20 million roster.
It's paying off right now.
Texas had a $27.3 million roster.
I know. I saw that. They were the number one in spending. Yeah, I didn't realize that, but they were number one.
LSU was 3 at 19.8.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Imagine spending $27 million to lose. Gosh, that sucks.
Imagine spending $8 million on one quarterback.
God, that'd be terrible, and then losing first round. Imagine being Miami spending $4 million in 1 year.
It's got $10 million in incentives.
Oh God. Haven't even seen him play in the ACC yet. Golly, since you're gonna take shade at my boy, I'm coming after yours.
That's fine.
I guess he's not your guy anymore. Can't be. Stockton. Ooh.
Cal Herder.
Old Stockton.
Hey,
can't wait to rock him next year.
300. He's Stetson Bennett 2.0.
We're gonna rock him.
Hey, speaking of, before we go into this, since you did mention Georgia next year, been a lot of rumors going on about Mike Bobo, offensive coordinator. There was stuff. Me personally, I have said we need to move on from Bobo because we haven't been the same offensively since Monken left for the Ravens. Monken, if you don't know, was offensive coordinator with Stetson Bennett on the back-to-back title years. But Bobo, that was reported all year long that he could retire, and then they kind of said, no, he's not going to. Well, this week, I think it was Thursday, Friday, it reported that he was going to retire this week due to health reasons. Well, some really close people have reached out to a close family member and said that is not the case, that he is perfectly fine with health and he plans on coaching next year. But there is rumors that Kirby may be firing several members of the coaching staff after reaching out to offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech, who turned down the job. So it makes you think that Bobo might be on his way out. So you might see a different offense in Georgia next year.
Interesting. Very interesting. Odds are set at 55.3% for Ohio State to win this game. Currently, Ohio State is a 9.5 favorite with the over-under set at 45.5. How do you feel about that?
It's ticked up. It was 8.5.
Was
Now
8.5.
it's went to 9.
Bump to 9.5. Might change.
That's Vegas putting some money. Everybody trying to put money on Ohio State, trying to make that Notre Dame pick look a little bit better. I don't really look much into that. I mean, I look at that odds changing and everything. That's just some people. That's somebody out there flexing the fact they got a lot of money and they've swung those odds a little bit to try to put some more money in somebody's pockets with picking Notre Dame if they end up winning. I think you're looking at two really elite defenses here. I think if I'm Notre Dame, I take a page out of that Texas playbook and I figure out what they did to keep Jeremiah Smith from catching. I mean, he had 4 catches for 18 yards against Texas. But what really sucks is you got Ibuka, and then I can't remember what the other dude is, the other freshman they got, who was the number 2 wide receiver in the recruiting class, who would be a number 1 at almost every other team in the country. He's the number 3. You got to really, if you can shut down Jeremiah Smith, they're going to catch the ball to Ohio State. You're going to have to close up the middle of that field, and I don't know how you do that because what Texas was doing is playing safety high, bringing the safety over to kind of double team Smith across the middle, shutting him down. But then that opened up your run game where Ohio State with Junkins and Henderson. So it's just a really tough thing to coach against. But if I'm Notre Dame, I go back and see what Michigan did. I go back and I watch the first half of the Tennessee game, and I watch that Texas game really close, and I see where the mistakes were made, and I try to perfect those because I really feel like it's going to take a perfect defense to really slow down this Ohio State offense right now.
I like that take. I'm going to go on the opposite side of the ball. Always go offense. You know me. I think we have to see the best game from Riley Leonard, not only in passing, but I think Riley has to be a threat on the run. I think if you start running some RPOs, getting Riley on the routes, on the outside, inside, whatever he's got to run to get yardage for Notre Dame, I think that will be a threat when you have, the running back, was it Jeremiah Love? If you have Love, if you feed him, if you start dialing in on him, maybe do some RPOs with Leonard tucking the ball and running. I think that can be a threat to Ohio State's defense.
I think if Riley Leonard sees 100 yards rushing, Notre Dame wins this game.
I agree with that. If they can't shut down Riley Leonard on the run, I think that's going to be a big problem for Ohio State because this is the first time really they're facing a quarterback who's a dual threat.
Yeah, well.
I mean, because Ewers is a passing threat. Nico just, he couldn't do nothing.
I look at Riley Leonard no different than I look at Army's quarterback. Strictly a running quarterback. Riley Leonard's arm does not scare me. If I'm Ohio State,
yeah, I agree.
Let him throw it all day long. He throws it all day. I'm going to beat this guy. Beat these guys.
But if he starts beating you on the ground, that's a problem.
Yes, that's going to be the key. If he sees 100 yards, Notre Dame very well could
circle Notre Dame. Game. Yes, I agree. I agree with that. I think that's the biggest key to this whole thing for Notre Dame. Ohio State, all they got to do is just keep playing like they have been. I mean, that's just the truth. Just keep playing lights out and you don't have to have Smith. I mean, they still beat Texas without him. But if he let's say he gets 100 yards receiving, I think Ohio State wins this game.
If Ohio State, what they need to see is Will Howard to continue to play at the level he's playing at.
Yeah.
Do not go back to turnover happy Howard that he was at the beginning of the season.
Turnover happy Howard. I like that. THH.
Get away from that. If they can force some turnovers and get some hits on Howard, we're going to have ourselves a ball game. If they let him sit back there like Oregon and Tennessee did and not get no pass rush on him,
it's going to be a blowout.
He's going to pick them apart. But if they can get that pass rush on him, and Notre Dame has a front four that can do that. They have the defense that can get back there, close that pocket in, give him some congestion in that pocket. I really think Notre Dame can really
give him some congestion?
Yeah, get some congestion in that pocket. Don't give him some room to move around.
Don't give him no Mucinex, is what you're saying.
Yeah, don't give him any of that. But on the other side of the ball, I know we're talking a lot about Notre Dame here. Ohio State, they have got to – the big thing that I noticed from the Texas game and about bit them in the hind end was personal fouls, losing their composure, and just – I mean, Henderson on that one, he had that run, he got up and then headbutted the Texas player.
Yep.
Like, can't be having that.
Can't do that.
Notre Dame is
Don't keep him in this. Don't keep him in this game.
Notre Dame is the number 1 team in the country at capitalizing on opportunity.
Yeah.
Look what they did against Georgia. Look what they've done all season long. They forced more turnovers than any team in the country, and they capitalize on opportunity. If Ohio State opens that door and starts making stupid penalties or turnovers, Notre Dame is going to capitalize on them, and they're going to dominate. I will say the one aspect that I do think Notre Dame will dominate no matter what happens is going to be on the special team side of the football. And if they can break one loose, that's going to be huge for Notre Dame because if Notre Dame gets momentum with the way Marcus Freeman's been coaching that team, Notre Dame could come in there and absolutely just make it. It could be 21-0 like that, easy. And
I don't
that's
see
what
that
Ohio
happening.
That's what Ohio State doesn't want to happen. But it's kind of weird. We think about this, but we've been talking a lot about tempo and pace. Ohio State likes to run. They like to get up there, get to the line of scrimmage. They don't really snap the ball, but they like to be able to control the pace of that game. If Notre Dame can disrupt that by getting some turnovers, forcing some stupid penalties, Notre Dame could do some things in this game that people don't expect.
3 questions for you. We'll wrap this segment up. 1-word answers here. Will Ryan Day be fired if Notre Dame wins?
No.
Will Marcus Freeman leave for the NFL regardless of outcome?
No.
Who you taking in this one?
Man, this is the toughest pick I've had all year. Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. What is your score prediction?
24-21 Notre Dame.
24-21 Notre Dame. I like that a lot. I think that's going to be close. I think it will be a close game. I think Ohio State's coming ready to play. Notre Dame's got a little bit of edge. Everybody's doubting them. They're down 9.5 coming into this game. Everybody's doubting Marcus Freeman. I love Marcus Freeman for what he said after the game. You know, if I could pick, I'd want both teams to lose. But after hearing Marcus Freeman talk, you know, I'm actually cheering for Notre Dame in this one. I like what he said. I think I love Riley Leonard. I loved him on Duke. So give me Notre Dame as well. 27-24.
3-point game. This way, if Notre Dame can pull it off, it'll be their first national championship since 1988 when they went 12-0 in that season with head coach Lou Holtz. It's been 37 years.
Yep, 98 or 88. Yep.
So
it's gonna feels like 88.
I don't think it's a 9-point spread. I don't see that at all. I don't
either. I think it'll be a tightly contested game.
Very well should be. It's gonna be a great game.
I hope it is. I want to get a national championship.
But I personally, I'm going to go with the poll that UGA Dogs put up. Had America, had every state.
Yes.
And it said the teams you're cheering for, it had Ohio with Ohio State, Indiana with Notre Dame, and then the rest of the country was hoping for a meteor.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I said. If both teams could lose, I would be happy. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to pick the lesser of the two, the one that didn't absolutely beat the brakes off my team, Notre Dame.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Last minute thoughts, guys. We'll wrap this episode up. I know it's a little bit longer than our normal, but hopefully y'all have enjoyed it so far. We've went over a lot of stuff. Went over college basketball, national championship preview. Just a reminder, we're doing shorter content on one question, 10-minute videos. Y'all make sure to tune in those episodes on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Whenever TikTok's back up, we'll be back to post it on there as well. And again, these are unscheduled questions, so if y'all have anything you want us to touch on for a 10-minute segment, let us know. Also, tomorrow, we got the TGL returns on Tuesday. Match this Tuesday.
You're really promoting this, ain't you?
I love it, man. It's awesome. I've watched them both so far. This is the third episode. New York Golf Club versus Atlanta Drive Golf Club. So you have, again, this is the second match for New York. They got demolished the first match. It's Matt Fitzpatrick, Ricky Fowler, and Cameron Young on New York. Atlanta is Patrick Cantlay, Billy Horschel, and Justin Thomas. Who you liking that, Hess?
You say Patrick's last name again?
Cantlay.
Cantley.
I don't like it.
It's redneck.
Cantley.
Try to get too fancy with his name, though.
I try to pronounce it right.
I did the same thing, and then I was watching it last year, and they were like, Cantley. And I was like,
oh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's pronounced a little bit different.
But yeah, this is very, very exciting. It's exciting to watch. I enjoy watching these.
Gosh, I wish JT and Ricky were on the same team.
Yeah, no, they gonna be against each other. They're friends. They gonna be
love
against
both
each
of
other.
them.
You know what that text group's like?
Oh, I say it's insane.
Justin Thomas, Ricky, Spieth. Spieth ain't on any of these, is he?
I don't know if he is. I'll have to look up the rosters. He's not played yet, so I'm sure he'll be on there.
Did you ask for my pick?
Yeah, who you got? New York or Atlanta?
Yeah, give me New York in this one. I think Ricky and Fitzpatrick, Cameron Young. I think they get to play that first match. They
Already
know
got
what to
the
expect
experience.
coming into
Yep.
it. That's been the big thing I've been seeing. Like Colin Morikawa, hadn't he played? Didn't he? No, that was two new ones.
That was two new ones last week.
So this
That
one
was
you're
fun.
kind of seeing
That was fun to watch.
Yeah, I love Colin. Colin's great.
I think next week we'll see Rory. I think he's coming on the following week.
Yeah, Roy will be on the following week. I think it'll be close. I think we'll see a close one. This last one we watched was 12-1, 12-2.
Kind of like the first one.
Yep. So I think this one will be a closer one because you're looking at some guys that really play similar. I mean, Cantley plays a lot like Fowler. Horschel plays a lot like Fitzpatrick. The outliers there is Justin Thomas and Cameron Young. They're kind of on a different scale, in my opinion, as far as a golfer. Both of them are good in certain areas. Some are better in others. But I really think New York pulls this one out.
Yeah, hopefully so. Go New York. Go Ricky, baby.
Also, I haven't told Castle this, but I am working on possibly getting TTS at the Masters. So we'll see what happens there. I have some connections with the guy I work with.
If you could land that, that'd be awesome.
He's been to 4 Master tournaments in the last 6-7 years. So working on some stuff in the background. Might not be able to get TTS because you're not allowed to have cell phones or anything there, so we wouldn't be able to go live.
We wouldn't be able to media, but
you're not allowed to have cell
we
phones.
We take a picture outside of the place.
You're not allowed to have any electronic devices on you. If your watch is a smartwatch, you need to have a regular watch. So we'll see.
Y'all know if we was there, though. Trust me.
Oh, absolutely.
Y'all would know.
But last thing I want to say, not trying to get political here. Today, Inauguration Day, new president being sworn in. Just want to say thoughts and prayers to the country in the next 4 years. I hope we have a really safe year. I hope President Trump stays safe. I hope the transition goes well. I wish Joe Biden and Jill the best. I hope everything goes well with him in the coming years, and hope see America flourish. And thoughts and prayers to the country.
Go America! At the end of the day,
Go America. Yep.
Y'all take care. Happy Monday. Have a good one, guys.
Yeah. See you.